What is up, everybody? UFC 310 is now in the history books. Good show, I think. Great performance by Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja retains the UFC flyweight championship with really what I think was a dominant performance in a submission victory over Kai Asakura. Asakura was the former Ryzen bantamweight champion. He had beaten Juan Archuleta, the Bellator champion, in his last fight in Ryzen, signed with the UFC in June. And then he did the unusual thing. Asakura was given a championship opportunity in his debut, but he certainly was not up to the task of Alexandre Pantoja. And I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of people in the world are at this point. Pantoja is really separating himself from the pack. He won tonight's fight with a rear naked choke submission. Referee Jason Herzog noticed that Asakura went out. He checked the arm. The arm was limp. Herzog stopped it at 2:05 of the second round, and Pantoja had his third championship title defense. And I guess what I want to talk about tonight is the aftermath of that. Pantoja ended up calling out Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. And I just thought it was a little bit weird of a call out. I understand his reasoning for that. I understand what he was looking for. He was looking for the guy that was considered the greatest flyweight of all time. I think unquestionably that is Demetrious Johnson. Demetrious Johnson, one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, let alone flyweight. I just think Demetrious is retired. He's a few years away from his best performance, and so I don't see. Even though Dana White said he was open to it, I asked Dana White at the post fight, and he said he was open. To if Demetrious Johnson can come back, to putting a fight together like that for Pantoja. But I think Pantoja deserves some kind of a big fight, and I don't know that there's really one for him at 125 right now. So is Demetrious Johnson? What do you guys think of that? Let me know in the comments. I just don't see. I have immense respect for DJ. I think he's one of the top 5, top 6 fighters of all time. But he's no longer at the pinnacle like he was. So as I said to Pantoja at the press conference, what do you gain out of beating Demetrious at this point? If you could beat the 2016, 2017 version of Demetrious Johnson, okay, we're talking, that's a different story. But if you're beating the 2024 version, who's hasn't been at that same elite level in a while. I mean, even when Demetrious Johnson drops, he's still one of the best because of how good he was. But Demetrious just right now isn't the same fighter that he once was, in my opinion. But we'll see. That fight could happen because I think that if you look, who would be the next best option? He's already beaten Brandon Royval, who's ranked 1. He's beaten Brandon Moreno. He's ranked 2. Amir Albazi is 3 in the division. He's coming off a loss to Royval. Kai Kara-France is number 4. So Kara-France would be the guy if they didn't bring somebody else in from the outside and make a fight with Demetrious for Pantoja. So I understand where Pantoja is coming from. He said it's not about the money. He wants to prove that he's the best flyweight. He wants to prove he is the GOAT. And I will say this. I think Pantoja is starting to get an argument. I think he still needs to rack up a few more wins. But I think the flyweights right now are better than they've ever been. And I think when you consider how deep that division is, and then you look at what Pantoja has done within that division, boy, oh boy, that is really impressive work. And I'm just going to bring up his record just to kind of go through sort of what he's done, because he's beaten Royval twice and he's beaten Moreno twice. I mean, he really has an incredible record. And as I mentioned to him also at the press conference today, a lot of it has come since he's turned 30 years old. So in the last, 3+ years, he's won 7 fights in a row. Manel Cape, Brandon Royval, Alex Perez, Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval again, Steve Erceg, and Kai Asakura. Really a pretty good run of victories. He had lost to Askar Askarov, and then before that, he had wins over Matt Schnell, Wilson Reese, Ulka Sasaki, Brandon Moreno again. So he has beaten the best of the best. And I think the flyweight division is really healthy thanks to some of the work that Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby have been doing in recruiting great talent. And the flyweights are really in incredible shape right now. And so if you're being that dominant against the best the division's ever been, you deserve to be challenged against somebody of your ilk. I think for sure Pantoja needs to move up in the rankings. No question about that. In the pound for pound rankings, he is 11th right now, and I think if it were me, I think he has to move into the top 10. I want some time to think about my rankings. That's the UFC rankings I'm mentioning, but I think that Pantoja is good enough now that he deserves to be in the top 10. Maybe even in that 6 to 10 range somewhere. I'm really impressed with him. So that was the show tonight. I was very impressed with that win. Let's go over some of the other fights on that card, because I think there were some really fun fights. And the co-main event was really something. I want to talk about that a little bit. Shavkat Rakhmonov won a unanimous decision, and that is the big news in that fight. Rakhmonov entered the fight 18-0 with 18 finishes. A lot of those finishes came in the first round. He had 10 submissions, 8 knockouts, and was just a finishing machine. But I was really impressed with Ian Machado Gary. Great takedown defense. He had a submission in the final round that was close, that Shavkat had to really fight off. I thought Machado Gary really raised his game for this game, and he was ready to fight at a very high level. But Shavkat Rakhmonov also fought at a very high level. After kind of a slow start to the fight, made it a fun fight. There was a couple scrambles with the grappling, and I think it was in round 4 that the crowd was really into. And Shavkat had Gary's back. Gary took his back, and then they reversed again. There was a lot of fun in that second half of that fight. I had it 49-46 for Shavkat. The judges had it 48-47 across the board for Shavkat. So that was a fun fight. Shavkat will get a chance to fight Bilal Muhammad, the welterweight champion. Joe Rogan had a funny line. Bilal Muhammad was sitting in the fighter section, as I looked at it, to the right of the octagon, and he wanted to get into the ring, and he was trying to jump over the barrier so he could get over and get into the octagon. And at first, security wasn't letting him. And Rogan said on the mic, security doesn't know that Bilal is the champ. Let him in the cage. So he went in, he confronted Shavkat. But I'll tell you what, it's early and you need time to think about it. But based on what I saw tonight, I believe Bilal Muhammad will beat Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's my early prediction for when they do fight. Who knows when they fight? Things may change. But as of right now, based on what I saw tonight, I like Bilal Muhammad in that fight. The one, there was a little bit of controversy on the show, not a lot. The one bit of controversy, I think, was Cyril Gahn won a split decision over Alexander Volkov. And it really turned on round 2. I gave that round to Volkov. Eric Colon, one of the judges, gave the round to Volkov. But the other 2 judges, Junihiro Kamijo, who is very good normally, he gave that round to Cyril Gahn, as did Adelaide Bird. So I'm going to have to watch that back and see, what my take on that round was. I thought that it was like first round Cyril Gahn, second round Volkov, and then I thought it was pretty clear in the third round that Volkov had won the third round. And so I thought he deserved the fight. I was not impressed with Cyril Gahn's performance. He said he broke his toes early in the fight. That could have impacted him. So who knows if what it didn't look to me like he was limping. Now, when he walked back to the locker room after the fight, he certainly was limping. He certainly did not look like he was all healthy and good as he went back there. But that wasn't the case in the octagon, I did not think. Um, Bryce Mitchell with a good knockout of Kron Gracie. Not that impressed with Gracie and Mitchell, who has good jiu-jitsu himself. He wised up. Gracie was jumping guard at every opportunity. Mitchell grabbed him, slammed him, then landed a great shot from the top. A couple more, and the referee jumped in. I think it was a very good stoppage, and Bryce Mitchell won that one, 39-second KO in the third round. Very good finish there. Du Ho Choi looked really good in a finish, technical submission. No, excuse me, that wasn't a technical submission. That was just a submission, but of uh, who was he fighting? Nate Landwehr. I'm sorry, it's late and I'm forgetting of Nate Landwehr, but he had him in a crucifix and he wasn't getting out. But boy, I'll tell you what, that was a very impressive performance. I was also very happy with the performance I saw from Vicente Luque tonight. 52 seconds, got the anaconda choke on Themba Gorimbo, got him out of there. And you look at Luque, 16-6, and he's really only lost to those really high-end elite guys. Luque, a fun fighter, a guy that everybody wants to watch. So that was there. Movsar Evloev defeated Aljamain Sterling. I thought Sterling won that fight. They had a 29-28 on all three cards. I thought Sterling won the third round. It was close. Not a fight that a lot of people were jazzed up about. They combined for 20 significant strikes in the fight and 10 takedowns. So, it was a grapple-heavy fight, and there wasn't a lot going on. They weren't threatening for submissions. And that Aljamain Sterling made a big deal about why are we on the preliminary card. I thought he was better off being on the preliminary card, frankly, because I don't think this card pay-per-view wise was a big seller. And now you put them on the preliminary card where they're going to probably have 1 million people watching and seeing them. So to me, they were in a better spot on the card. Any other thoughts on the card? I thought the Brian Battle, Randy Brown fight, meh, nothing great about that. A couple of the veteran guys, Anthony Smith was stopped by Dominic Reyes. Chris Weidman was stopped by Eric Anders. Clay Guida was submitted by Chase Hooper. Dana White said at the post-fight press conference he thought all three of those guys should retire. I think that, Anthony Smith said he would probably retire. Weidman did not talk publicly afterwards. Clay Guida, nor did he. Guida fell to under 500 in the UFC right now, 18-19. I think probably it's the end of the line for at least Smith and Guida, probably Weidman too, but we'll have to wait and see right there. But once again, Alexandre Pantoja is the story. He wins in the main event, defeating Kai Asakura by submission. Thought it was a fun fight, a great performance by Pantoja. He calls out Demetrious Johnson, so a lot of interesting stuff. We will see what is going on. I will have plenty of coverage this coming week on UFC Tampa, so stay tuned for that. I'll also have a lot of stuff upcoming on the Fury Usyk rematch, which will be in 2 weeks on December 21st. So please check out all my content on that. I would appreciate it if you could like this video. If you have something to say, make a comment. What do you think of the Demetrious Johnson call out by Alexandre Pantoja? Do it. Please let me know what you think. Also subscribe if you're not always subscribed. I really appreciate it if you could do that. Anyways, UFC 310 once again is history. I am Kevin Iole. Hope you enjoyed the fights. See you guys soon.